So welcome to the World Retail Forum. It's Tuesday at 9 o'clock, so it must be the World Retail Forum. So we have a very exciting program today, and we have Chelsie Lee, who is the CEO and founder of SHIPSI. SHIPSI was founded in March of 2017. It's a same-day delivery platform for retailers, and it's so well timed for the marketplace. So we're very delighted that Chelsie could join us today. We're going to start out for some of you, because we do have quite a few new people today. And so we're going to start out by just giving you a little insight onto how we got to where we are. So the Retail Store Tours is a network of 15 different markets around the world. And so what we started to hear from different parts of our network about the impact of COVID-19, we decided to sort of take an action and to create an opportunity for people to share on that information. So we're here really to figure out this pandemic puzzle. And so in January, we started to see our team in China be very concerned about the impact of COVID-19 on their business. And I should point out that this is our 40th on the front line. And so, basically, when the US marketplace started to get hit in March of 2020, we took many of the lessons from China and applied them to the United States. So many of you who are on this call are wondering, what is the future of my industry? What is the future of my company? What is my future? So we created the World Retail Forum because of the scale and the impact of this particular pandemic. We thought it prudent to take a different approach, which was to use a global network so we could learn together to recover much faster. So each week we provide you with pieces of this pandemic puzzle. And so this particular week, we're going to be looking back at China, Brazil, Mexico, and the United States. You're going to be hearing from people that you've never heard of before, with companies that you've heard of and maybe some that you haven't. So we're going to get started by first giving you an overview. We've been very fortunate in that this particular program has been written up several times by Forbes, by Women's Wear Daily, and other leading publications. So the virtual tour program, the store tour program that we started, we virtualized because we find that it's a very good learning experience for those who are interested in basically finding out what's going on around the world in real time. We've also gotten requests from our 1,000 or so executives for master classes in employee training, in digital commerce and CRM, in supply chain management and logistics, in smart digital design, in AI to improve the customer experience and operations, and sort of what's next in terms of technology. All of this will be available on our website, and so don't need to write notes, and basically you'll be able to see this. On the front line was being produced every day during the height of the pandemic. We went from every day to every week, and now it's every 2 weeks. So we welcome you to join us at the World Retail Forum. Everything is there for you. We have around 40 different episodes, video sessions of everything we've done so far, starting in February. We also have this on podcast. So if you're so inclined, please join us on a podcast, which we have here. It's in Apple and Spotify. Every week, we provide real-time information, and that can be found in our research area. So for example, we're finding that 89% of retailers are planning to upgrade their supply chain, that 66% are upgrading their in-store systems, and that 44% are improving their technology. So we welcome you to come and to join us, because this is real-time information, again, that's available and accessible. Today, we're going to give you a sort of a world update. And So when we look at we call it the pandemic recovery puzzle, we're going to give you some real-time insights from different parts of the world. We're going to start with China and then go to Europe, to Brazil, Mexico City, and then here in the United States. Our first report is from Isabel Hobart, who basically was reporting from Greece yesterday that the pandemic is coming back in countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, and France. And in such a case that the UK basically has shut down all EU travel. So the summer has been good for Europe, but it's been causing a resurgence of the COVID-19. Not to where it was, but certainly it's come back. In New Zealand, which was 103 days free of COVID-19, and the market is fully open, they're starting to see some cases come. And again, if you look at the pandemic of 1918, it's really hard to suppress these viruses. You can use best practices, but it's very, very difficult. So this past last week, I was in China and I gave the keynote at the innovation conference in Shanghai. Obviously, it wasn't there, although I was there virtually. But the key news isn't my particular keynote, as wonderful as it might have been. It was this. And so this is one of the first, well, this is for about a month now, the conference business has come back to life. And for those of you who are on the call in the conference business, you're probably smiling. At least I hope you're smiling. So what we're also seeing in China is that digital retail spending, which was 25%, has jumped to 30%. So we're seeing a similar pattern here. But the key is really, I'll do a close-up, but this conference, which last year was attended by 2,000 people, was attended by 1,300 people. So you can see they're not fully up to capacity, but Shanghai has had very, very few incidents in the past several months. So they feel comfortable enough to open up the marketplace for conferences. What we're also seeing is an investment by many of the retailers, brick and mortar, in WeChat groups. And so if you're not familiar with WeChat, I recommend you become familiar with WeChat. But WeChat is one of the leading platforms for commerce in China. And so they are investing in WeChat groups, which helps them get directly to the consumer in the purchase cycle. So here's an eye-challenging chart, but actually it's a really important chart to take a look at. So if you look on the left side, you'll see the impact of the pandemic in China. If you look on the right side, you'll see the US. So in the first quarter, China was hit hard. The US was relatively unscathed until mid-March. In the second quarter, China rebounded, and we were hit really, really hard. In the third quarter, China is beginning its conference business, which started at the end of mid-July, and so the conference business is back. We are still in the rebounding phase of the pandemic. The Chinese do expect a second wave in October, November. But if this follows suit in terms of following the China, we should be open for limited in-person conferences some point in Q4. Again, that may seem improbable, but the parallel between the Chinese and the US marketplace has been exactly almost unshakable. If we look at Brazil, Brazil is an emerging country with tremendous energy and potential. And so Juliana, who has been a guest on the program, I asked her to give her an update. So please bear with us as Juliana gives us an update on the Brazilian market.
Hello, my name is Juliana Neves and I'm a retail architect from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In Brazil, since we are a very large country, just as the US, we have very different situations varying from state to state. We have some states where deaths through coronavirus are decreasing, others which have found a stable situation, and other states which unfortunately deaths are still increasing. In Rio, we have reopened shopping centers, street stores, We have reopened parks, beaches, and the use of masks is mandatory, either outside or inside any space. And since our town is so unequal and we have poverty and richness living side by side, we have also very different situations regarding shopping experience and shopping patterns depending on where on town you are. So if you look at a shopping center where people are reading the newspaper, where people are looking to the world, where people are most educated, you have a high level of fear. On the other hand, we have part of the population being aided by the government, and they are helping them with around 150 American dollars a month. So these people have raised their incomes. So you see a different shopping habit because they are buying even more cell phones and technology and home items. Also, they are investing on construction. So they are building a new part of their homes. They are providing their families with a better home condition. Even though most part of the population is back to work, we have not yet in Rio reopened schools or universities. So you don't see that much traffic jam anywhere in town. It is, traffic is very smaller than we used to have before the pandemic. However, on Fridays and Saturdays night, we see many young people packing bars and restaurants, having a beer, standing outside without any mask. So this is what is now delaying us to come into the sixth phase of reopening the city. Thank you very much, Juliana from Rio de Janeiro.
So we try to highlight the fact that we're, again, as Chelsie had said earlier, we're all in this together. And so the learning that we can have, again, the Brazilians are brilliant, they're resourceful, they come up with amazing ideas. And so it's really important to keep a track on what's going on. So that you can see the desks. Andre, who is a entrepreneur and executive, also, I asked him to give us an economic report. And many of the reports that he's going to give you are basically, you're seeing this everywhere. There is a retail recovery everywhere in the world.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Brazil. Here, the good news is that 24 out of the 27 states are now back to pre-pandemic levels in retail sales. Comparing June from this year to June of last year, we have increased 0.5%. And that's mostly due to the performance of grocery and supermarkets. They are up 8.2%. Home appliances, furniture, and groceries are the top performance segments. One of our customers from the jams and jellies industry increased 40% on sales this semester. Now, office supplies, vehicles, and clothing are the least performing markets, but that's within expectation because they have been largely affected by the policies we have implemented. Now, the trend that we see with all retailers, large and small, is online sales. Everyone is aware that increasing investments and rethinking strategies are vital to their operations. We can no longer rely just on physical stores for the success of our operations. And for now, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. And then we have one more review from Mexico. Eric Jimenez, who runs Latin America, basically is giving us a report. I was there with Eric and the team in October, and you can see the difference. And we'll take a quick look at Mexico City.
Welcome to Mexico City. Masaryk stores are doing their best to return to the new normal. The brands have implemented their protocols and have made the necessary adjustment to call customer back. Each brand has its own strategies, from implementing online sales and picking up in a store. Some brands have decided to leave Masaryk, other brands will come. This is a challenging season for real estate. Stores are doing sales season campaigns to reactivate customers who have been in their homes the past 5 months. For Retail Store Tour Mexico, Eric Jimenez.
So you can see that the situation around the world, whether it's Mexico, Brazil, or Europe, is they're all in the same boat. If we look at the United States, what we've seen is basically the same spike that we saw in 1918, and basically the decline in deaths and the slight we're part of the global sort of resurgence. But the bottom line is that we've accomplished a lot. If we look at the U.S. and retail market, you'll see the beginnings of rebounds. It's very uneven, but we see investment accelerated over the next 18 months. Many have said to us, everything we're planning to do in the next 5 years, we're doing in the next 18 months. What we're seeing is the beginning of the reallocation of space in the retail marketplace with companies like JCPenney and others that are in discussions with Amazon about using their space for fulfillment centers. We're also seeing the beginning of this trend, which we identified in May, which is the use of the health category, both health and wellness, fitness and mindfulness, and medical testing, also moving into the shopping center area. So what are the opportunities? And as we get into the segment with Chelsie, we see that the digital investment is across the board, whether it's CRM, whether it's AI, it's here. What we're seeing in about 5 to 10% of the marketplace, and again, we predict that streaming will be around 30% of the volume in the marketplace within the next 5 years. Again, one of these hard to wrap your head around trends, but certainly it's coming. We see it here, and the data is there. We see the emergence of a new retail. Those that were in an older modality will be sort of less effective, and then some of the new people coming on board will revolutionize. But one of the key areas that we noticed early on in the pandemic, which I mentioned early, and I'll repeat again, was the impact of the pandemic in China and the United States. So China was hit hard, as all countries were hit hard, and they closed down the restaurants. And at the same time, the demand on delivery went up 200% during this time, and has not really gone down to pre-COVID levels. So the issue really was, how do you efficiently sort of remobilize the workforce, all the restaurant people, which were divided into delivery and supply chain. So so we're seeing that this particular crunch of demand really was a sort of a weak point or a point of improvement, or however you wanted to express that for the marketplace. So what I want to do is, because Chelsie is an expert in delivery, just to give us a sense, Chelsie, of like where are you seeing the marketplace? Because you've been driving the train here, and tell us, where you see the marketplace shifts, and maybe talk to the slide a bit.
Yeah, there's obviously a massive shift, and I empathize with retailers. Previously being in a buying office and buying and planning, I cannot imagine what it is like even before COVID. It was almost a decision paralysis. And now post-COVID, we are seeing a massive shift within our business and our process. One, before it was a matter of convincing, hey, delivery is important, and this is why, and this is the success that our customers are having. And now we are seeing a shift from all of these investments being expedited. The thing that stands out to me most on this slide is the $53 billion increase post-COVID projection. That is absolutely massive. We all knew that online and digital initiatives were growing fast, but this has expedited anything and everything relating to delivery, relating to on-demand, and emphasizing the consumer experience. And it's just been revolutionary. My fear is that people aren't taking the measures that they need already for holiday, and there's massive surcharges going on in the industry and in traditional methods as well, that I think retailers are going to get really, really hit hard with. I think they're going to increase them even more.
Yeah, this is a trend that's here to stay. And can you explain for those who don't, sort of when you talk about it like an all-in-one e-commerce solution, work. And you can use the example of, let's say that I have Dan's Coffee Shop in Westfield, New Jersey, and so just walk me through. So how do I, as the owner of Dan's Coffee Shop, interface with the with SHIPSI, and how does it work?
Yeah, so our retail partners partner with us, and we make it a safe playing environment for them and delivery networks available on the market today. So in its most simplistic form, SHIPSI adds a delivery option to your online site, or gives you the ability to go to a web link and make deliveries for your customers if they're calling, texting, emailing, some concierge apps. So we allow retailers to offer premium same-day, on-demand, and scheduled delivery natively in their existing systems, and also by capitalizing on their existing infrastructure of store locations, warehouses, distribution centers, and built the entire thing around retail and really about the consumer experience.
I think we may have a screenshot here. Okay, so let's say if we're so I'm operating. So Dan's I forget what I said, donut shop or coffee shop, and
Dan's donut shop, DD.
Well, there you go. So so I interface. So do I download? How does it mechanically work? So I say, this is great. I want to have SHIPSI. Well, let's take a concrete example. Brooks Brothers. So Brooks Brothers, who will be coming back in a glorious new form.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They're quality company. So I am. Let's take Brooks Brothers. So I go into a Brooks Brothers. I may get measured, and but I'm just running around, and I just can't. I can't go back to pick up the suit at 2 o'clock because I have a plane at 6 o'clock. So how does this work with the sort of Brooks Brothers workflow, and how does that work basically?
So before you see the SHIPSI option appear, I mean, to make our option appear on your online store, brooksbrothers.com or Dan's Donut Shop, it's either connecting to us directly through an API connection or through a turnkey solution through your e-commerce provider. So if you're on, let's say, Shopify or Demandware, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, NetSuite, there's an option within that. It's like installing an app on your iPhone, really, but in your e-com store. And that makes the option appear or not appear based on business rule criteria. So the integration is either API or through your e-com provider. That plus an account within our portal makes that option appear or not appear. And we account for inventory rules or when the store is open, and allocating pick and pack time. So you would see this option appear as the customer. A notification then goes to our driver network, to the consumer, maybe to the store associate, and offering them a pick and pack time. Driver goes to the dedicated spot to pick it up and delivers it to the consumer.
Got it. So as far as my Brooks Brothers experience goes, I talked to the salesperson. They say, look, don't worry, Dan, we'll have the suit to you at 4 o'clock. How does that, do I get an email from Brooks Brothers, but it's a SHIPSI email, and then when I get that email, does it say that the driver will be there between like 4 and 4:15, and that he or she will meet you in front of the 123 Main Street? How does that work?
It depends on the retailer and what works best for them and their consumer setup. So all scenarios are a little bit different, but traditionally it's even more expedited and more visibility on that. So let's say you place your order, you would get an order confirmation from Brooks Brothers, just as you normally do. In addition to that, you would get an email confirmation from SHIPSI, maybe co-branded Brooks Brothers. Here's your delivery confirmation. So you get your order confirmation as you would. Here's your delivery confirmation, just like you would a FedEx or UPS update. Delivery confirmation, and then you also get, the order is being picked and packed. And then there's also real-time tracking available for all parties involved. So let's say you're packing, getting ready for your flight, and maybe you want to run up to the store. Well, it's the exact same process, or it mirrors as if you would be looking for how far away your Uber is, and you're going to run downstairs and get ready for it. So there's real-time tracking involved. And then we also offer a layer of customer service on the bottom of that, so that should any issues arise, we account for them before you or oftentimes the retailer would even know. One of our customers referred to us as the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes. And I love that. I absolutely love that. So our success rate to date is 99.98, or when consumers actually get their goods delivered, and less than 1% of our orders even require customer service intervention. So really focusing on that consumer experience. That's also why we account for the inventory, to make sure that they have it, or make sure that you're within a radius of that store, so that when the option appears, it's guaranteed that you will receive what you expect and on time.
Great. So we have a question here from one of the people on the event here. Is that, so what is the business model, or what's the basic business model for this in terms of what's the exchange? What's the, again, not getting anything proprietary, but just how does it work?
Yeah. So it, again, depends on the retailer, but traditionally there is an implementation fee, that can range from $100 to $100,000, depending on the complexity of the integration. So we have an integration and then a monthly subscription. That's pretty minimal because we want to encourage more store locations. So that's by store location. And then the delivery fee. So one of the abilities that we have is that aggregated delivery partner network, to get the best possible rate for the retailers. And they have the option to pass that to their consumers, or they can choose to contribute towards the cost of that shipping or delivery. It can also be based on basket size. So if you're shopping on Brooks Brothers, let's say you're ordering more than $500, maybe Brooks Brothers says, wow, that's a good customer. I'm willing to contribute $20 towards that shipping so that it's free for the consumer. And what we're finding right now is with the surcharges on store pickup or home delivery from some of the more traditional methods like UPS or FedEx, that our option is actually less expensive than traditional methods for a lot of our retail partners. So, our sales pitch is pretty easy to retail right now. Do you want to pay more and give it to your customers in 10 days? Or do you want to pay less and give it to them right now and get, another week of shipping during holiday?
That's great. And so someone had asked the question, how are you structured? So I see that we have, this particular, so what's the workforce look like? How do you recruit? How do you retain? How do you make all the wheels turn?
Yeah. So a big point of clarification here that often gets lost in translation. We don't have our own drivers. We don't have our own driver network, but rather partner with delivery partner networks that have already figured out a lot of the challenges in this space. So DoorDash, Postmates, Serious Innovation, Cargomatic, PDQ, like large capacity, small capacity. So we take all of these delivery networks and aggregate them together. And we have the ability to negotiate rates on top of, maybe we have orders from Brooks Brothers, and maybe we have another order from 20 other customers in that localized area. Yeah. So we, negotiate and get the best rates for our retail partners because we are specifically incentivized based on the value that they get. If they're not successful, we're not successful. So our model is completely around that, based on any shape, size, or retailer.
Excellent. That's very, very good. Yeah. So excellent. So when you look at the impact of, can you talk to this slide, basically, which talks about the impact of COVID and how you see it for the future? Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're hearing this from that delivery network too. And today, I think the last one was we have over 1.2 million drivers in 850 US cities. We're also testing in Europe right now in a couple different areas. And before COVID, I mentioned earlier that we were reiterating the importance of delivery. It was expected that 65% of retailers within the next 2 years would be offering same-day delivery in their roadmap. And given the world has changed significantly, it's really, really had an impact on our business and everyone in retail.
Yeah, what we see in China is pretty much everything is real time. I mean, if you can't deliver, you're not in business, because everything through WeChat pretty much is you buy it, you send it to your house, you send it home, and then how does the impact of the trend here with places like the Amazon warehouses and retail being repurposed, how does that trend impact your business, or does it impact your business?
Well, COVID changed the world for everyone, and we could have never anticipated it. And something we've talked about is that we're all in this together. Well, I empathize with retailers, not only because I've been in the buying office, but COVID changed the world for everyone. There's no arguing that. But for us, within 48 hours, all of our customers' doors were shut because of mandated store closures. So when retail shut down, we shut down.
Wow. Okay. Yep. It's and basically it looks to me, if you look at the instant delivery portal, so you've kind of made it very simple. You can put in the information. It looks like a very easy to use UI UX. Okay. And then any comments you've got on delivery, your delivery communications, and I could try to reduce friction.
Yeah. So we as a team got together, and a result of what I refer to as COVID creativity, we created an instant delivery portal along with, about 5 other big items on our roadmap that are really going to set us up long-term for success. And I don't believe we would have found those things if this environment wouldn't have happened to us. So the instant delivery portal allows anyone to schedule a delivery utilizing our network, but without any integration. So we're seeing this in concierge apps, or maybe at, maybe at the donut shop, you get an email or a text from a customer, and you can log into SHIPSI.com/Brooks Brothers or SHIPSI.com/the donut shop. And all that you have to do is enter the delivery address of the consumer, and it automatically ties to our network. And it's taught us a lot about some of the operational best practices as well, because even if your store is closed to the public, well, maybe you're inside making your donuts and still want to be able to get them to consumers. Or maybe you go for 2 hours in the morning, and that's the time that we can send the driver there. So we've really learned and benefited from a lot of operational things, given this environment. How do we shorten that time?
Good. We're launching a poll right now just to ask questions regarding supply chain and delivery for those of you. So if you could take some time to answer that, we'd appreciate it. And what we see in China was, even within stores, like there's a Starbucks concession in a store called 7 Fresh. And so what you do in China is you can order your Starbucks when you're in the store to go to the Starbucks sort of, not vending machine, but pickup area, where you can actually go to you get a locker. And so if your Starbucks latte is going to be due at let's say 9:45 East Coast time, you are texted the time that your coffee will be ready, and then the locker code, so you can actually get into the locker to. So the whole idea, or the whole behavior on people, having this, it's an expectation. And I think when Uber launched years ago, it created this feeling of, well, if I can get a car, why can't I get my suit? Why can't I? So I think that your whatever the evolution phase is for this, we're going into the next phase of delivery, in that it seems like the expectation is for everyone. Why can't I get what's wrong with you? Why can't I get what I want when I want? And so expand on that a little bit, because I think that's a key behavior that's going to drive this industry.
Yeah, and you hit my favorite tagline that we've had: what I want, when I want, and where I want. And that's, really, this market is solidifying a lot of that. The other thing you had mentioned, Uber, I think I read an article yesterday about some of the major companies or technology companies that came out of, maybe not a global pandemic, but out of a recession, Uber being one of them. I think Airbnb was another one. So I think even from an investor standpoint, right? I know a lot of investors that are waiting to see who dies off and who comes out of this. And so it's just an interesting time, I think, for everyone. And for us, it was not only how do we utilize our core technology to help the retail community immediately, but it was also, what about our community and what about our driver partners, right? Because our retailers shut down, our business shut down. Well, we're not giving business to our delivery partners anymore. So that was a major thing that we also looked at. What can we do? So something that we had done was take that delivery partner network that we have, still be able to employ many of them, and how do we partner with the local community? So we ended up running a campaign and delivering over 1 million diapers to families in need within the first, I think it was the first 2 weeks, really, when everything hit. And so we're trying to get creative. How do we keep jobs coming, but also who in our community really, really needs things, you know, like diapers? And that just was something that, you know, had kind of come to us organically, and that we really found a lot of success in, and are proud to support the community.
Excellent. And how do you, if you're looking at the, obviously we'll probably go through another, you know, phase 2, typically the way that pandemics work is they generally come back in some form. And so how are you preparing for the, not that we had a lull in the action, but it's not as urgent and dire as it was, still very, very serious. So how are you preparing for, let's say, the next 6 months?
Yeah. Well, just as many retailers, we had to expedite your 2-year roadmap when it comes to digital initiatives or delivery. We basically had to expedite our 2-year roadmap into 2 months, so that when we come out in Q3, Q4, that we can help support that retail community through holiday. And so before, it was a matter of, oh, delivery is important. Your consumer, who wants a dish towel now, right? I think I've had so many arguments about who wants a spatula right now. And, you know, we've done plenty of surveys on the actual item of what it is. And sure, yes, I need a phone charger right now. But we're also seeing other things in the market, like, you know, bath towels and washer and dryers. And it's really about that consumer experience, and that's their fighting chance on keeping alive. So now we see 100% of, you know, retailers basically needing to do this now to stay alive, which has been a massive shift in this delivery and e-com and digital experience. And then I think about the expectations now, right? It's weeding out, just like it's weeding out the SHIPSIs of the world, this environment is weeding out the retailers of the world, and where consumers are going to go.
Yep, it's COVID is the great. It doesn't care what your business model is. It's non-negotiable. You either deal with the COVID, or it deals with you. You know, so on many levels. Well, this is the sessions we have are 30 minutes because we want to be respectful of people's ability to absorb information, and also Zoom. And you know, we thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions for Chelsie, please reach out to us, and we'll be sure that Chelsie gets them. And this is we're going to have you back, Chelsie, because this is the first chapter, and we're going to look forward to the second chapter, which will probably be around November. You know, as we get into holidays. But thank you so much. You know, keep up the great work. We love what you're doing.
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here, and hopefully this is helpful today. I look forward to reconnecting on the November. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Safe day.
You too.
Bye-bye.